So we're going to pick up where we left off from yesterday. There were some issues with the video of the mini lesson not being able to be clicked on initially, and then just confusion about how much you really had to do for the project. Really, for today, we're going to continue this idea of using multiple sources to integrate information, answering a research question. You really have over 2 weeks to do this, and so I'm going to back us up a little bit and let you know, okay, I'm going to pace you and do a little bit at a time. So I'm going to model some of this thinking for you today that you should be doing. So we're going to have you show me if you can have mastered this idea of putting together multiple sources to answer a question. And so once again, this here has this link, the rubric and the project information. Well, some people were a bit overwhelmed yesterday when I went through that quickly, primarily because you don't know what a lot of it means. My point of going over the rubric was just to show you kind of ahead of time some of the things we will be doing. So don't worry about it if you're a little lost with that rubric. I know there was a lot there. All you need to know today is we're going to take the first step. And so yesterday I tried to model this idea for you. So I'm going to do this again with both topics depending on whatever one you've chosen. And so you are going to answer one of two questions. If you look at the bottom, if I first try to find information on this first question, and this is the longer version of the question. I think the original one was just how did the roles of women change after World War II. This is really more specific what I want you to be answering. So if you wrote down your question, if this was it, I want you to change it to this wording. I think that'll help you. So how did the role of women change during the time period just prior to World War II and the time period immediately following World War II? In other words, from the beginning of the war, right before it, and the end of the war, that includes during the war, how did the role of women change? And so I talked to you yesterday about these steps. You just think about the question. You ask yourself, okay, what am I trying to learn? What kind of information am I trying to do? And then we talked about yesterday hopping in, and this was hopping into the table of contents, jumping in and seeing what we could find, and then getting out without spending too much time in that resource. Hopefully, the table of contents can give you some clues. And so you are going to do this again today, just like yesterday. And depending on how much you did, for me, I'm going to go to Mayan, and what I'm going to do is search. And I'm going to, remember, I told you yesterday, it depends on the wording, but if you write out World War II, I'm going to put women, it will give you this book that I talked about yesterday, and I'm going to read this. I'm going to continue the book. And so just to model what you should be thinking, you go over here to the other pages, you go into the contents, the table of contents, and you read. And once again, like yesterday, I said, I see several examples of women that did different jobs during World War II. And so here, I'm going to start out as I'm scanning with the introduction. Maybe this will give me information about this idea of women in the war. And so that's page 5. So then I will go up here, return to the book, and now I'm going to click, and right away, page 5 is the introduction here. And what you can do is go over to your tools, click on here, and I'm going to actually look to highlight. I'm going to take my highlighter, and I'm going to read through this. And since I have already read this page, I found out right here I like this. It talks about women. Millions of women here took on work they had rarely done before, such as operating factory machines, driving ambulances, fighting fires, flying bombers, plowing fields, cracking codes. All of these things here are very specific things that women did for the first time during World War II to help out. And so what I need you to do is then take this information and you're going to copy it down in your composition book. It should be your reader's notebook each day. If you can find just one idea like this, that's enough. So if you already did this yesterday and you found something good and you've done maybe too much, you don't have to do anything else today. Or maybe just add this one. You guys, if this is your topic, could actually use this as part of your information. So what I would do is say, okay, this is page 5. This is my quote. Going back to my slides here, my example was from these books, and this book also will give you information, but I chose this one, and what I just modeled for you is this quote. You need to include the quote. You can put it in your own words, which is paraphrasing, or you could quote it yourself word for word. Just copy it down. That's a direct quote. You need the title of the book. And with Mayan, they don't always give you the author very easily on the cover. So if you just put the title of the book, if the author is available, go ahead and put that, and then the page number. So that text that I just highlighted is right here. I'm going to, if I were you, I'm modeling this, I would open up my reader's notebook. I would write down this quote. I'll copy it from the Mayan book. Then I also, before I leave, would need to write the title of the book, which is right here, and the page number. Because as we get into this research project, you are going to be responsible for telling me where your sources are specifically. Okay? And so the other question that you could have chosen is up here. Why did President Truman decide to use nuclear weapons at the end of World War II? So for this, same thing. These are two books. I didn't show you this yesterday, but if you chose this topic, these two books would be helpful. Okay? If you just type in Hiroshima, which is one of the islands that was bombed, that book will come up. And then here, we're going to do the same thing with Mayan. For me, I'm going to actually go directly to that. But if you type in World War II weapons, then it would help you to find this book. And so like I said, I already did some skimming here, but I'll go back to how I did this. Now I want to say the glossary might give you some information, the index, but really we're looking at the table of content. The table of contents. And here I see, okay, wartime inventions. I know that the atomic bomb was an invention that was created during the war and it ended the war. And so I'm going to go to page 28. You guys might, you return here, know a better way, but I just click until I get to page 28. I start looking and I see, oh, right here, the atomic bomb. I read this. And then after reading it, I picked out something right here. I picked this out. It says, the United States threatened to drop more atomic bombs on Japan. Facing total destruction, the Japanese government surrendered a few days after the second bomb blast. And so after reading this, once again, I didn't automatically find this. I had to do a little skimming through the book and use the table of contents. But I'm using this as my example here. This is page 29. So going back to my presentation here, this is my example. The United States threatened to drop the bombs. I wrote down the quote in my composition book is where I would put this, your reader's notebook. You write the title of the book and the page number, and that's it. This right here is all you have to do today. If this is your topic, you could even use this if you wanted to, or go back into that book, but you're just doing one quote from a book and tell me what book and page number it is. That's your only thing today that you have to do. We're going to pace ourselves, so we'll do a little bit each time, okay? So today, continue exploring Mayan. Find a book, find one detail, tell what the title and the page number is. You just write that down. And then you're going to be doing reading. And so really it's just this. You really should be able to do this in about 10 minutes, okay? And then you'll do your 30 minutes of reading for literature circles. And I will tell you your groups today, and you'll get your start for your first reading assignment. Okay? Don't spend too much time on this today, but try to maybe get something like this, and that's it. Go into one of the books, whether you are the atomic bomb or the women in World War II. You can even look at the book and the page number and find some good stuff there. All right? Can't wait to see what you find.